This is the iPhone 12 Pro, a phone released in 2020. So how does it hold up 3 years later? Well, I bought this phone refurbished. There will be a video coming soon or already posted about my experience of buying a refurbished phone. But this is the 3-year-old phone which I bought refurbished and I have been using for a few months now. And I'm really excited to talk you through how I feel it does in 2023. Apologies for a different audio and video setup. I'm filming on a different device so I can show you the iPhone 12 Pro. First of all, the design. This design looks very good in 2023. The nice central Apple logo and the frosted back glass is very good. Plus, I think it hides fingerprints very well, although I use it in a case. While we're here, I'll talk about the stainless steel rails. These are not great with fingerprints. As you can see, they sort of smudge and the fingerprints do show up on them very easily. So that is definitely one disappointment. You've got the 2 volume buttons on the side here, the volume down and volume up, as well as the very good iPhone switch. I love having a switch to turn my ring on and off. Coming from an Android device, definitely something I missed and definitely something I love. As for the front of the device, we'll speak about the notch and that design later, but we've got the power button on the right hand side of the phone here. It's quite a big power button and it's a nice placement. As for the cameras, we've got the main camera, the telephoto camera and the ultra-wide camera, as well as a microphone, the LiDAR sensor and the flash. The cameras were the main reason for my upgrade to this device and I have found them to be exceptionally good with a very good shutter speed, but we'll talk more about that later on. Moving to the front of the device, we do have the notch, which hasn't been shrunk down compared to the iPhone 13 models. Obviously, they now have a smaller notch, although to be honest with you, it does not bother me at all. You can see the purple flashing light. I believe that is the Face ID sensor coming through the notch. I'm not really sure why it always shows up, but it only shows up on camera and the flashing lights are not visible in person and to my eyes. I've turned the background lighting off so I can better show you the phone, but I do think the bezels are very slim and very nice. It's very good for a screen protector if you have one of those on there. They're very thin and it definitely means that you get a good screen to body ratio. The screen to body ratio I believe is 86%, and I'm sure that most of the fact that it's only 86% is because of this border or bezel at the top, but the rest of the phone has very slim bezels and I am very pleased with the screen itself. As for unlocking systems, the iPhone does not have Touch ID, but it has Face ID, and then obviously you can enter your own password manually. I have found the Face ID to be very reliable, and there is a feature in settings you can turn on which enables Face ID with a mask. As for navigating through the phone, it is the very commonly used these days swipe gesture. So if you open an app and then you swipe up, you get taken home. Furthermore, to access the control center, it's a swipe down from the top right hand corner, and to access the notification center, you pull down from the top. These are very fluid, very easy to use, and they always feel very natural. Another major reason to choose this phone, other perhaps Android phones that are 3 years old, is the software support. Apple are unrivaled in this department, and that was another big reason I went for Apple over Android. I love the fact that I know for years to come I will get software support. We know that Apple support phones for sometimes up to 7 years. So this being on its 3rd year, I know it will get updates for a fair few years more. So I am definitely knowing that this phone will keep me going and keep me up to date. Another big reason for going for this phone, perhaps over the iPhone 11, was the 5G. I know that 5G is something that is becoming more and more common. So when you're in London and well-populated areas, I do notice that 5G pops up in my control center and that I am on 5G, which is obviously faster and future-proofs this phone. A key thing about buying this iPhone, perhaps over Android phones or other alternatives, is the future-proofing. Great cameras, great software, as well as the fact it's got 5G for the future. Briefly commenting on the display, another reason I went for this over the iPhone 11 was the display. It's a OLED display, which means it's very high quality, but more to the point, it's a 6.1 inch display, which I think is about perfect. I had a 6.4 inch Android phone before this, and I felt sometimes that was a little bit too tall, although I did get used to it. I'm now very used to this, and I think in my hand it fits very nicely, and I can just about reach the corners, although I do have to shuffle my hands a little bit. It feels natural, it's a good size for consuming content in its landscape mode, so generally very happy with the screen size. As I bought this phone refurbished, it had an 85% battery health. As I say, I will be making or have made a video on the refurbished buying process for this phone, but I cannot really talk too much about the battery because I only have an 85% capacity, although personally through using this day to day, it easily gets me through 1 day of average use, which I would say 3 to 4 hours screen on time. Now, as we come back to cameras, I've got lots of things to talk about here. First and foremost, we've got the ultra-wide camera, which is great if you want to get lots of people in the shot, but does lose some quality. The camera is still more than good enough in ultra-wide, and it's definitely not something you should worry about. You've got the 1x zoom and the 2x zoom. The 1x zoom is obviously the main or default setting, and then the 2x telephoto lens is great if you want to zoom into things further away or in the distance. I'm going to take a couple of photos in my room. It's late at night, but hopefully this will give you a good idea of the camera quality. While the photos I just took came out very poorly, I've got a couple of photos taken on this phone that I'd love to show you. This one was I think it was an afternoon, and as you can see, I just thought it was a beautiful photo that came out on this device, and I was very happy with that. Same with this one, where the raindrops were in focus. I just thought these photos came out absolutely beautifully on this phone, and really shows off the camera qualities on this phone. This is a portrait photo taken on this device, and I think yet again it showcases the camera quality of this device, although it was in very nice lighting, as you can see, which makes a big difference. You can see the camera quality was very good on this. If I turn my brightness down a little bit, you should be able to see it did come out very clear and very well. Even when you take photos at night, as long as you get the photo taken fairly well and you have a nice shot, generally the phone is okay. I'm going to turn the brightness down on the recording device so you can see it better. I took this photo, I believe it was 5-6 p.m. in the evening. The view from the Shard, stunning view, but the photo came out very well, generally good quality in the distance as well. So most photos on this device come out very well, and I'm very happy with it. And the shutter speed is very quick, so I often find that I don't need to take 2 photos because I can just trust that the iPhone has taken the first photo at a high quality. Obviously, there are lots of settings you can customize. The standard resolution or size for a photo is 4:3 ratio, and compared to the normal 16:9. But actually, I've got used to this, and I think seeing as it utilizes the higher megapixels on the camera, I do use this just generally because I think it means I'll get the better photo. You can turn on live mode. I don't use this, although there is a very cool feature, which is that if you take a live photo, when viewing that photo in the Photos app, you can then press the live button and then get long exposure. This is great if you're a night photographer or you enjoy taking photos of moving objects. Obviously, this photo won't showcase it, but that is a cool feature. Obviously, there are lots of settings you can fiddle around with in the phone, but generally, the general photo taking on this is very good. Same with the video quality. I film in 4K 30 for my YouTube videos on this device, but you can also change it to HD if you wanted to film in lower quality, and you can change it to 60 frames per second if you wanted that. 4K 24 frames per second is also available if you wanted that. One area I'm not too pleased with is the selfie camera. Although it takes some nice photos in daylight, generally it's not amazing. It's not great in low light at all, and really is a letdown compared to the rear cameras. Although generally in most cases it will do you just about okay. The long-awaited question of, is this phone worth it in 2023? 100%. So many things about it are so good. I've only touched the surface of some of the great features. I love the haptic feedback on this device. So even when you mute it, you get some lovely haptic feedback. But you can turn that on the keyboard. And just generally, I think this device feels so premium in 2023. Despite some software limitations compared to Android, if you know what you're getting into with iPhone, it's smooth, it's easy to use, it feels up to date, the cameras are incredible, and I'm very pleased with this device. I will be daily driving it for quite a while to come, hopefully, and I'm very, very pleased with this. I recommend you purchasing it, although they can still be a bit pricey when you're buying renewed or refurbished. Bear that in mind, but I think it's worth it. Unless you can snag a great deal on an iPhone 13 and you're not fussed about the third camera or the LiDAR sensor, then I highly recommend this device. Do note though, there are some good iPhone 13 deals out there, even brand new in the UK, but you will be losing out on one of the cameras. So if you wanted the Pro model, then I do suggest you go for this one. I'm very pleased with it, highly recommend. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you around for more content. Goodbye for now.